Hey everybody, it's Kate Richburg. Happy Friday. It is Labor Day weekend here in the US, which means there's a long weekend holiday for us. So officially, we are closed on Monday. But we'll be back to it on Tuesday. But it is an official holiday for us in the US. So just to let you folks know. Gosh, there's so much to catch you up on this Friday. Let me tell you, this hair is making me crazy. Gotta get my bangs cut. Hopefully everyone has great plans for the weekend. Let me have some coffee. We've been running around kind of like crazy here. We have house guest, a good friend who's here hanging with us for the weekend, and we have all kinds of weekend plans and a barbecue on Monday and all this stuff, plus all of this that's going on here. So, it's always busy here. Let me go through and just see. I know Janice is on the chat, so I know that you all have been chatting here. Let's see what we've got. Let's see. There we go. All right. First of all, Janice in the chat has been chatting about our East Coast. It's more of a get together than a retreat. Janice is doing it in October. We'll have that info up on the website. I believe it's the 11th of October. Janice, is that right? And what Janice is doing is she is teaching the combs and headbands class that she taught at the bead retreat. It's going to be a lot of fun. I should put it on. Let me see. Yeah, there it is. Here I am wearing it, right? I love it. I love it so much. I feel so fancy when I wear it. So we will have, and here Janice has the comment about it. It's just a little mini one-day workshop in Richmond in October. It's in a hotel, so you can stay over if you want. And there'll be more info about that. All of the materials will be included in your fee for this, and Janet's is limiting it to just a small group just to test it out, to see how it works, stuff like that. Okay, so that's what's going on there. And Janice, I will send you a picture of this so you have it. I also have news for you about the retreat wrap bracelet. Let me put this under the camera so you can see it. All of our retreat attendees had such fun creating this bracelet. It was a lot of fun for us to make, though some parts were less fun than others, I will admit. But I'm going to do this in a series of lives for you. Let me put it under the camera. Let me get my glasses back on. Let me clear this stuff off right here. Let me put this up and let me add it. Let me add it to the, bear with me here just a second while I fix this setting. Hang on. Hold, please. Let's see, that's correct. Okay, let me see. That's correct, right? Yep, that's good. Okay. Let me hold something up. Yeah, that's right. Okay. And then this is correct. Okay, there we go. Let me add this. Okay, here we are. Shoo, the settings, they always change, right? There was a question. I see this real quick, but Janice answered it. Claudia's asking, do we go to Tucson? We do go to the Tucson gem shows though we have made the decision early. We are not going next February. We are fortunate that a lot of our Tucson vendors, they're really fabulous. We do a lot of calls and stuff with them and kind of chats and stuff, FaceTiming, things like that. So we're really lucky that we're able to do it that way. Maybe Tucson year after next. We'll see. With everything so unstable and we're not really sure about the the imports, the tariffs, the situation with letting people in the country, all of this, it's really, really crazy for small business right now. So, and with Tucson, you really have to make your reservations and your plans very early beforehand, or else you won't have a place to stay, all of this, right? So, yeah, it's, I'm just taking that off the table for me, right? It's really fun. I've always thought about doing like a little Tucson mini retreat kind of thing, stuff like that. So I don't know. We'll see. Off the table though for 2026. I just can't deal. Leslie, hopefully, my friend, you are feeling better. Get some rest for sure. Um, you know, we hope you're feeling better. Let me show you this though. Then we're going to get to the loom, I promise you. So, what we've got here is, this is the bracelet from the retreat, and I'll show you this. I'm going to be doing the retreat bracelet as an on-air project, right? So the on-air project we're going to cover, it's going to be 4 different projects, right? And it starts, I'll tell you what date it starts. Hold, please. Let me go to our promo calendar. I'll tell you. The first one is going to be on my birthday on the 17th of September. We're going to be doing this section, the chain section. We're going to be doing that. And then every 2 weeks after that, on the 8th, the 22nd, 8th and 22nd of October, and then we'll wrap it up in November on the 5th. Okay. So I think it'll be really fun. We're going to have a good time with it. Everybody that went to the retreat, I think, had a lot of aha moments with this. And yes, Terry, thanks for asking. I am kidding this project. I know the collective gasp is, I can hear it now. I'm kidding it. And the kits will be up probably next week sometime for pre-sale. But I'm going to kit it. And let me show you. Let me walk you through this here. So we're going to do this section with the laddering with chain, etc. And then we're going to go with this herringbone. And I think I might do this herringbone in a duet. I think. Maybe. Alita was at the retreat. Looking forward to continuing and finishing this epic wrap bracelet. It was epic. It was crazy, right? It was crazy. Terry, we're going to try and get it out, hopefully by the first one. My wish is that we had more hours in the day to get more things done, because everybody ducks and runs when I say, oh, and I've got an idea, and everyone, including Janice, ducks and runs. But this is the second broadcast will be about this herringbone, which will be really fun. And then we're going to go into This is what I call the embellished Bollywood, which is with the drops. We're going to do this one. Then we're going to work with some regular laddering with the tilas, etc. here. And then we're going to go into, if you look at this one really close, and this was a favorite for everybody. And also a big shout out to our friend Sarah Little. Sarah came pre-retreat and helped me with these samples. So without our friend Sarah, we would not have been able to have the sample done. I wouldn't have been done. So a big shout out to Sarah and her very talented hands with this. If you take a look at this one, this section right here and this section right here, these have 4 segments. 1, 2, 3, 4 segments here. You can see it. So these are kind of similar the way that they're done. This has chain. So we're going to talk about how these go together, right? Like this. Then we talk about how we split those out, and we'll do these 6/0. And then we're going to finish with a macrame section with a macrame closure, right? And so that's everything here. So we're going to break this up into the 4 segments, right? And what we'll probably do to start this off, and I'm just kind of looking here, kind of getting this together in my mind. I think that the first one we're going to do, though this is subject to change, I'm just talking through it. With these 4, the strips of 4 right here is a great way to kind of, we'll repeat these. This one will be a section, the herringbone. This one, the embellished Bollywood, will be a section. And then kind of regular laddering will be a section. So I need to figure it out. How it's all going to go together. You can also, instead of one giant wrap, I have them here. I put them aside. Hang on, let me grab them. We also made them, we, meaning Sarah, also did them in singles. Let me grab them here. Hang on. So you don't have to do this as one big wrap. You can also do this as singles, right? Like this, right? Here they are as singles, right? Don't these look great? Again, a thank you to Sarah. Here's another variation on that chain where we were playing around. So we'll kind of play around with this. And then here's, so this is it right here. Okay. So you can decide, how you want to do it. Yeah. Annette did, Joy. There's several people who finished the entire bracelet. I think Sarah finished hers. I think Annette finished hers. I think, who else finished? Sue, I think you finished. And then a lot of you did a lot of single bracelets as well. So it just depends on, on how you want to do it. Let me show you. There was a question on how does this look on the wrist. Let me show you. Yeah, Sue, you finished. So here's this, right? I'm just gonna wrap it here. So right here, and here, and here, and here. Okay. So we made this one so it fit me. Yeah, sorry, Kim. YouTube is not, or Facebook isn't playing. Facebook, our broadcasts on Facebook are becoming less and less reliable, I'll tell you. Hang on a second. I'm trying to get this on my arm. Bear with me. And then you guys can look at those pretty. pretty single wraps, and I'll get this on my wrist. I'm not going to call Miranda either. There we go. I got it. There we go. Here's this. Okay, so it's a substantial wrap, right? We're going to talk about making a wrap that's this big, right? I mean, it's a big one. It's definitely a showstopper. It's a lot of fun to create, a lot of fun to wear. But if something like this bulky business isn't, in your wheelhouse, or you don't love it, you can make it stack like this, which works. Great question here. Terry, taking one for the team, asking the questions that everyone wants to know, but no one wants to ask. Terry, can we add Instagram for the streams? With our streaming platform that we use StreamYard. I don't think it's possible on Instagram yet. Instagram has its own issues with streaming. So I'm sure it's coming down the pike, and I think it's shorter form than what we do here. But I'm always trying to stay up on the different streaming platforms, etc. Okay, so yeah, that's when it's available. Trust me, I'll do it. Who's asking? Lacey is asking about the faceted beads. These are 6mm right here. Okay. So I've got drops, I've got 8/0s, I've got regular Tylas, I've got super duos, and I've got 6/0s. 6mm right here. This is our keyholes chain right here for this. I may switch the chain up. I'm not sure. We'll see. But you can use just one length. Joy is saying that I showed how to add the chain just here in the middle, which is also fun, like this. Really great, right? Love it. So yeah, I love the look of the chain. This single one, let me take this off. I didn't mean for this to turn into a whole broadcast about just this, but let me show you this one with the chain right here. Okay, right there. Sarah, Emily is coming, I think in just a couple weeks. She's doing a really, really cute project. We're really excited to have her. It's going to be fun. The whole wrap, Sandra, I believe it's, how many sections? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It was around 42 inches, I think. My wrap is 7 1/4. So, but I talk about how to, 7 1/4 per bracelet is what I'm trying to say. Okay. So yeah, anyway, depending on how many wraps and stuff you make. But I think this is, I'll tell you, let me measure. This is 18. This is 36, 39, 40, 42. Yeah, I was right. 42 inches. This is. Okay. All right. So more on this will be coming. We're going to start this project on my birthday broadcast on the 17th of September. Okay. Let's talk about the loom. And I'm going to move the camera face front here. Okay. Whoops. Here. Sorry. Let me do this. Move that over. Let me do this. I'm using my headband to keep my bangs out of the way so my mom doesn't come over here and cut them like she used to when I was a kid. Right? You remember that, Gwenda, right? Here, let me move that over. Okay, let me show you the loom. The looms are in. We pre-sold the looms at the retreat and we sold out. They were really fun. It was great. So this is, it's called the Comfort Loom, which means that you're supposed to be able to sit with it on your lap and stuff like that, right? It's big, right? It's big. So this loom, let me see if I can kind of move this around. There we go. Let me get this out of the way so you can kind of see what's happening here. There we go. You guys can kind of see that. I think you folks can. So it's big. Let me get my tape measure. It is, and it's really pretty, and it's a good, you know, it's a good sturdy loom, and it's a pretty good price point for, you know, for what it is, right? So this, the opening of the looming part is 5 inches, right? And this from like warp to warp is like 11. From hook to hook, it's about 17. Now, the way that this goes is, let me clear this off. It comes with really good instructions like this, okay? And it tells you how to put it together. It tells you how to string the warp threads. Now, if you're a weaver, you might approach this a little bit differently because it has a warp bar. And what a surprise. I'm a weaver. I love to weave. And it's kind of similar to like weaving on like a rigid heddle loom or a really simple loom. Okay. It has these warp bars here and here up at the top. These hooks need actually to be turned down. And then it has this spiral, this coil, right, that you can go across here to put your warp threads in. It is adjustable. Thanks, Terry, for asking about that. This length is adjustable. There's more holes here. I have it on like the biggest one across. So thank you for pointing it out. So I'm going to show you how they show us to warp this. Let me see. Hang on. I'm kind of busy in the background. Hang on. We also, let me just mention here, we got the Malaga beads in from the Malaga mix. They are also ready to be sold and up there. Here are my beloved, the super duos, the duets. Those should be arriving at your households. I'm excited to see what you want, what you're going to make with those. There we go. This might be a little bit easier. You can definitely do a hat band. Let me show you. Move this over. There we go. Might be a little bit easier to see like that, right? There we go. Pull that over. All right. Maybe like this. There we go. Hard to adjust myself in that camera. All right. That's a little bit easier to see. So the Malaga was a mix, Sue, that we got in. We did a curated collection of the short ones, and we've just got the long tubes in now. It was a color collection. They're all in just in. Really, really pretty. You could definitely do a hat band with these. It would be really fun. So let me show you how this works. Okay. So I'm just going to use KO and I'm going to start. And the way that they tell you to warp this is I'm going to tie a thread here around one of these hooks. Okay, like that. Now, what they tell us to do, the instructions tell us, is you go through one of the spiral, one of the little springs right up here, and then you go through its coordinating one at the bottom. You go around the hook and back up through that same spring and around the back, and then you warp the next one. Okay, so what you have is a double warp in each one. Okay, like this. Yeah, let me get close up. Let me just go through this real quick, and I'll tie it off. I'll just show you what this looks like. Okay, like that, and then you go around and you warp as many, like this many, right? Like this. Then you'll move on to the next hook. Okay, if that makes sense. Let me tie this off, and then I'll give you some close-ups. Hang on here. Let me get my clippers. Sorry. That was Miranda breaking the merchandise. Right. So here, when I, whoops, that thread just fell right off my table. So see how I'm going to use these two ends, and I'm going to tighten them in a square knot. Let me get the overhead camera back in here so you can see this. Maybe. Hang on. Let me get that out of the way. Let me pull that up. And let me add this. So see there? See what we've got? And so these go in, you double warp in between the springs. Okay? And you can see here when you go to start your weaving, you kind of pull them apart to fit your beads. Okay? So you can do however many beads, or however many, what am I trying to say? The size of the bead can be anything. It doesn't have to be an 11-aught, right? It could be anything because these kind of adapt to the side. Now, and so you just continue to go on. Now, let me show you a couple of other tricks how I might warp this that aren't mentioned in the directions, kind of from a weaver's perspective. Okay, and I'm going to use a little bit of a heavier thread here. Let me grab it. This is some micro Ceylon. I like to weave with Ceylon for sure. Weave with Ceylon. It gives kind of a more thread forward kind of look, which I like. Right? Terry, I have no idea why they want it warped like this. That's just what the directions say, that they want it doubled in here. Probably to give you more, maybe it has to do with tension. I don't know. To be honest, I haven't spent that much time with this loom. You could certainly just put one warp thread in between each one, but that would give you fewer warps. So this gives you the capacity for more warps like this. Okay. So to make the strand longer, Dawn, that's a great question. Okay. So let me say how to make the strand longer. So one of the things when you're warping like a rigid heddle loom or a loom that you do for weaving, what you do is you make long warp strands and you make a bundle. You tie it right here around this warp bar, and then you bring it around the other warp bar here and you roll it. Okay, so let me show you what I mean. Let me and there's a lot of videos and stuff on like rigid heddle weaving and stuff and warping, those types of looms. It's not a bad idea to get yourself familiar. Okay, get yourself familiar with that. Let me see here. Oh, Stacy, thanks for that comment. Thank you, Stacy. As I read through the directions a little bit better, but that's what a live broadcast is all about. I saw your comment, and yeah, the double warp, outside warp, that thread is doubled. And then, as they say, blah, 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 bring the threads across the loom to the next slot over. So they are not doubling them through. Thank you for that. Thank you. It's right here. It has the doubled on the outside and not doubled. So I would just move this over. Thank you for catching that. That would have been incorrect. Let me show you here. Then let me highlight this. Thank you. There we go. See how for strength, and I've never done that, to be honest, with weaving or looming, but it's not a bad suggestion, so that this outer warp thread, the last one, is doubled, and then you go into the single, then all the way across, and then your last one is doubled right here. Okay, so if that makes sense. Okay, so Janice, yes, Janice is reading my mind here. If you don't bother with the hooks, you can just wrap around the dowels and have your warp go all the way so you can further it, right? Yeah, and I'd have to move them on the bottom. Thanks, Terry, for that. I'm just going to cut this off. So we've got that. We figured this one out. Okay, so let me cut this off. And let me show you with the seam on. What you would do is you could tie this on like this on one cup hook, and we'd go across, and we would probably count to make sure that we're on the correct size right here, and we just continue to go around. Right? Are you seeing that? And continue. Oops. Robin was saying she's got a tiny little crochet hook. So the crochet hook that Emily uses for bead crochet will help you move your warp threads. So see here how I'm going to do one more. And then you can move your warp around. Okay, so we'd come around like this, and then we'd come back here. We'd come back there, and we would do this. Okay. If we're doing it this way, I'm going to undo it from, I'm going to untie it from this cup hook. If we do it like this is how we loom, or we dress the loom, it's called. This is how we do the loom, dress the loom. If I'm looking for tweezers, if we're using like our boards, like our deep dish boards, etc., we go all the way around so we can forward that looming. Let me just undo this and I'll show you. Then I have one more way to show you here, because we don't want it to be over the hook if we're going to be able to move this around. Okay, so like this. Okay. Like this. And then I tie it off here. There's lots of really good questions. Okay, like that. Okay, so now what you can do is see how I can move. This is kind of like an inkle loom when you're using, let me see if I can get this even higher. When you're doing an inkle and you forward where you're weaving, the section that you're weaving, after you've woven that section, you move it, right? You forward it by moving the warps down. Okay, so does this make sense? Okay, so this is a great way to do it. It's a great way to forward your work this way, like this. There's a rod underneath here. I like the springs. It really holds everything in place. It doesn't, they're nice and smooth. They're not damaging the threads, right? So I like it. So this is a way to make something really, really long like this, right? If you're using, so this looks like a good gap for 11/aughts, right? You can see that, but you could also get 8/aughts or other beads in here because the warps adapt themselves to the sizes of your beads. But if you're using like bigger beads, you can just, I could move them over every 2 like that, and see that warp is now wider, right? Like that, you could do it. The other way that you can do this, and I'll show you, this is how I do it when I'm doing a rigid heddle loom. I'm going to cut this off and I'm going to try and preserve this. So just stay with, so you see this, right? This is how it goes in, and it slides across these bars very easily. And yeah, JP, I would just lift this up as I'm going through. I would lift your beads and kind of work it and pass the woven portion, and then put these back in like that. Does that make sense? You'd have to play around with it, but it would work out just fine. You could also, as Janice says, we could take that spring off, and you could just use them around there, and then you wouldn't have to lift the beads up and over the springs. Does that make sense? So let me show you this. Here, let me cut it. I'm going to cut my warp threads right here. Okay. And I'm going to tie all of my threads here together. Okay. This is how I do a rigid heddle loom for yarn. And I come in however many warp threads I have. This is just 4 because I'm reusing these. Okay. And I'm going to put them around that hook. Okay. And I'm going to come down. I'll place them in the grooves here. Like that. Okay. And then I'll place them in the opposite grooves here. I'm not going to be too precise because, okay. So now what I would do down here is I would bring this around my warping bar here. And I would tie them around this hook. Okay. Like that. Let me tie it one more time. Sorry. It's hard to keep everything together. Doing my best. Keeping this around. Let me grab this and bring it through. Warping your loom, especially when you're weaving with, when you're weaving cloth. Let me try it this way. Takes almost as long as the actual weaving. I just need one more knot in there. My perspective is off. There we go. Okay, so once that's tightened, okay, what I do, I know, thanks. Miranda's giving me the high sign. I've got to wrap it up because you know what I'm doing next after this? I'm going on Softflex's broadcast right after. So I have about 5 more minutes before I've got to go. So see here how this, so what I do is I loosen these warping bars right here. And I loosen this here. Okay. Then I roll this up here. See how you roll them? Sorry, this is a little. There we go. Okay. So you bring, and then your work rolls around the warping bar. Okay. So what you could do with the hooks, you might have to kind of rig it a little bit. I'm gonna have to play around with the beads here, but it's kind of fun to, think about these different ways. But see how this kind of unwinds there and winds up tight onto there. So, but again, it needs a little bit of playing with, but you get a lot of real estate with this loom. Okay, let me zoom it back out there so you can see what's going on. So it's called the Comfort Loom, the new one. It's from Beadsmith. It has a lot of real estate, a lot of room to work with. There's suggestions in the chat about this being an upcoming masterclass for the new year. Might be kind of fun to do this. I know, 5 minutes. Thanks, Annie. 5 minutes. I got to get over there. Okay, so let me show you. Let me get up on here. It really is a fantastic loom for you to play around with. You could also use it with a wrap bracelet. You could take these hooks out, take these bars out, and just use it around this way. So I think there's a lot going on with it. Okay, so that's my story. I've got to jump over to Softflex. We did a lot on that wrap bracelet too. So I have some ideas for you that I'm going to share with you in the newsletter about super duos. This is the Pathways cuff. Wouldn't the super duos duets look great with that? So I'll list them all in the newsletter. Stay tuned for the newsletter this weekend. If you jump on over, I'm going to try and share the Softflex streams out to our Facebook page. But if you go to the Softflex YouTube channel, it's going to be streaming over there. Okay, my hair is all crazy. So that's my story, friends. I've got to jump off here, jump on to Softflex. No Saturday Stitch In this weekend, but I will be back with you on Wednesday for a live broadcast. And don't forget, on the 1st, we've got the monthly mix dropping, and it's my birthday monthly mix. You're not going to want to miss it because I'm pretty excited about it. All right, everybody. We'll talk to you soon. Have a fantastic weekend. See you over on the Softflex stream. And the Softflex stream is right there. All right. Have a safe holiday weekend, all. Talk to you soon.